I am very confused and somewhat frustrated. As I mentioned in one of my previous videos, a little over 2 weeks ago, let's say 2.5 weeks, I applied for employment insurance. Now, it's the first time in my life I've ever done that, so I don't really know how the process works. I don't know how long I'll have to wait to get the results to know, was I accepted or not? How much will I receive? Blah, blah, blah. So I just kind of wait and assume that at some point they'll send me a letter or, an email or something just telling me it was accepted. So I wait, and, eventually I get a letter and it's like, oh, here's your access code so you can access your account. So you can have, access to all the information if you have any questions or whatever. And so you can make your weekly declaration. It's basically a code that tells the system this is this person. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It seems to imply it was accepted, but they didn't actually come out and say it. So I'm like, there's still a possibility that they're just sending me the code because that's automatically part of the process of when you apply. So I'm gonna wait. Maybe they'll send me another letter or an email or something confirming that it was actually accepted. And then, a while later, I receive another letter, and this one, which I have right here, and this one says notice of decision. So I'm like, ooh, okay, that seems way more clear. So let me go ahead and read you the letter just to show how clear it is. So, notice of decision. We are writing to inform you about your claim for employment insurance benefits starting August 11th, 2024. You received vacation pay from your employer. This income before deductions is considered earnings under the employment insurance regulations, and a total of $798 will be applied against your benefits from August 11th, 2024 to August 17th, 2024. Because these amounts have already been applied against your benefits, you do not include them in your reports. However, you must declare any other income you receive or may receive. A 1-week waiting period applies to your claim, during which you will not receive benefits. If you have any additional documents or blah, blah, blah. The rest really isn't that important. So it's like, all right, there's a few things in the letter that seem to imply that it was accepted, but they never come out and outright say it in any of the letters I've received. In fact, because this has all been so confusing and they never actually say that it was approved, I'm like, all right, I'm going to call. Obviously, I can't speak to a person. Everything's automated. So I go through the different automated options, and there's an option. It's like, oh, the status of your claim. I'm like, cool. Press on that. They're like, sorry, we can't provide that information over the phone right now. It's like, okay, well, that was a waste of time. So my other option is to access my online account. So I go ahead and begin that process. And in order to create the account, I must verify my identity. To do that, there are two options. I can either use my bank account to prove my identity, but of course my bank isn't in the list of banks that are eligible to provide that. The other option is to use a special code that they send you, and of course I don't have that code, so I have to request it, and then they send it by mail, which takes 5 to 10 days, so that's what I did. I did that shortly before I went to visit my family. So when I got back, I was hoping I'd receive it, still hadn't received it. It's only on Sunday when I checked the mail. For some reason, they delivered it, so I'm like, all right, cool. I finally had it. That's also when I got this letter. So I'm like, cool. I can now create my account. So I go online, create the account, enter the code they sent me, prove my identity, create all the security questions, blah, blah, blah. Finally access my account. I'm like, cool. Look at all the different options. All right, I'm like, okay, cool. Claim status, blah, blah, blah. Of course, as confusing and unclear as this, they provide information such as, this is the amount that you could be eligible for, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. But once again, they never actually say your claim was approved. So I'm like, all right, great. None of the letters are useful because they never actually tell me. The phone is not an option because they're not allowed to provide that information, apparently. Online is also a bust. So let's give them a call. So yesterday, I go ahead and give them a call. And of course, the offices are closed. So I'm going to try again today. Hopefully today they're open and I can actually speak to a real person and get real answers, because at this point I have a few kind of important questions, such as, was my claim actually approved? Because I don't know. If so, how much will I be receiving? For how long will I be receiving it? Kind of important questions. At this point, I'm kind of expecting to never be able to get an answer and just have to wait around until I receive a payment, at which point I'll be like, all right, I guess it was finally accepted. Now I know. So that's the thing, it's all been very confusing and frustrating. And most of the time, it seems to imply like it was approved. I just don't know if it was 100% sure. And, given the situation, this is not the type of thing you want to assume. You want to be sure about something like that. Especially, because tomorrow I'm going to see my oncologist. I'm potentially going to get news that might cause me to travel. And it's like, I can't afford to travel unless I know I'm receiving employment insurance. In fact, regarding that, another question I have to ask, a very important question, is, am I allowed to leave the country while I'm on employment insurance? I don't know. And if the answer is no, then I can't leave the country, even if my doctor's like, you're screwed, you'll be dead by Christmas, go spend time with your wife. I just can't afford to do that if I don't have, sorry, if I don't have any income. So there's like all these questions hanging in the air and no clear answer to any of them. Hopefully, I'll be able to speak to someone today. Hopefully, they'll be able to answer my questions. But at this point, it's just been very confusing and frustrating. And that's kind of, in a way, been the last 3 weeks. Not really that confusing and frustrating. It's just this never ending kind of sensation of all I can do is just wait. I don't really know anything, so let's wait for the results of the test. Let's wait to see if my employment insurance application was accepted. Let's wait to see what the plan is going to be once we get the results. Let's wait. It's always about like waiting and not knowing. And this, employment insurance, this whole situation is just the perfect example of what my life is lately. And, to be fair, that's a lot of what having cancer is. Just a lot of waiting. It's like you go to the hospital, run tests, and then you wait for the results. And then you go and, you have a treatment, and then you wait for the next treatment. And it's like this never ending cycle of waiting, which, in a way sucks. It can be frustrating, but at some point you just kind of get used to it, and it's like, that's life. And that's the thing. It's like a lot of times people are asked like, hey, how are you doing? It's like, I don't know. Like, I'm waiting for this result. I'm waiting for that thing. I'm waiting for this thing. It's like, I don't know how I'm doing. Like, no one will tell me. I just need to keep waiting. It's like you get bits and pieces of, it's like a giant puzzle, and you just get like one little piece here and one little piece there and one little piece there. And it's like, it's impossible to see the bigger picture. So it's like all you can do is just wait for the next piece and then find a place to put it and then wait for the next one. In a way, it's good because it forces you to just, stop trying to control everything, stop trying to plan everything, because first of all, you don't really have as much control as you think you do. And second of all, even if you try to plan things, it never works out the way you do. So it's kind of like forcing you to surrender to the process, universe, God, whatever it is you believe in, whatever it is that, like, however you see the world, it's just forcing you to do that, to have that surrender, because otherwise you're just going to be frustrated the entire time. And that's not really something I recommend. So, yeah, hopefully I'll get some answers today. Hopefully I'll get other answers tomorrow from my doctor, and then we'll be able to kind of come up with a plan from there. But for now, once again, it's just let's wait and see what happens. So I guess you just have to wait and see what happens in the next video.